unbelievable to think the damage of the wheel didn't actually cause more damage to the car itself. So how did it start, where are we, and are we going to get this running today? So we have gone for the BMW M2. Now it's had a bump on the front, nothing major. Obviously alloy is destroyed, so we could be having a bit of suspension damage in there. Shock absorber has arrived, so completely knackered the old ones. Back wheel is absolutely curbed, and then a little bit of road rash on the back bumper. Inside we've got airbags that have gone. How bad is the damage? Trying to decide whether it's good news or bad news. No sort of body damage, nothing on the body. Got a washer jet broken, all the coolers, rads, everything all looks good. But all of our bottom arms, suspension need to be replaced. There's slight damage on some and not quite as slight on others. So in go the new bottom arms and linkages, and these literally just bolted in and out, so quite easy. But on this one you can see we've got a fair bit of damage, so in goes the new bolt and then just tightening everything all up. Next up we've got the suspension damage that you saw before, so that went in. That movement, so that's our actual damage that we need to figure out. It's our ball joint there. The steering rack's fine. Look at that. I thought there was movement in the steering rack before. I hadn't really pulled the dust cover back like that. You see it in there. So it's just that ball joint there now. So we've taken a measurement off the old unit. I've had to replace both parts as this was just absolutely jammed in. I ended up cutting it and trying to remove that even with the impact wrench in the vise, and it was just locked in. So for future it wasn't going to be very good anyway. So complete new unit put together. Just got to put this circlip on the end, make sure that doesn't fall off the dust boot. So it's just getting the lock over to the other side. Just going to screw this in. These fittings. Okay. Go in. And look to get our boot on this end. So the new little unit has come through for the headlights. I've just popped that in, and Bobby Dazzler. So all back working. So we can now look at getting the actual sort of light lens swapped over, renewed. New cover has come for the headlights, so we're going to try to replace it. So the first thing is we need to melt the glue on the old one. Apparently in the oven at about 130 degrees for about 5-10 minutes. Final section now, so just prising it. And that then is the old unit removed, and we can look at getting the new one glued into place. Just test fitting the new one, so that's in, all slots in nicely. There's a couple of edges there where I've prised it a bit too much, so we'll have to heat that up and push it back down, but obviously once I've got the glue in place, so it all sort of fits and looks good, looks correct. Hopefully that's the headlight back. So for now, let's try and get our lining back in on this side, and hopefully everything fits. The new wing didn't come with the badge, so we have just got to swap this M2 emblem over, but I can do that afterwards, so I don't need to worry about actually getting this out now. So, moment of truth, whether the colour actually matches the rest of the car or not. Why is this? Yeah, it's starting to come together. So our panel gap down here, so this is all going to come right across. So it's things like that before we start fitting things 100% that we need to start looking to get correct. But it's starting to look a bit more like a car again. It actually looks not quite as bad, and half there, so hopefully when we get this front bumper repaired, so I've already started to flat it down, just try and make the damage better. Now there's quite a big section of damage here, that's probably the worst bit of damage. All the rest of it is just going to fill in now and we'll be okay with that. But here we're going to try to actually heat this up, mould it back into sort of shape that it should be, and then staple it. That then starts to get the shape and some of the strength back in. We'll fill then in behind that just to give it a bit more strength, and then flat it all down, and hopefully that can then start to be repaired. While everything sets up and dries on the front bumper repair, we'd already filled in the little scratches on the back bumper. Now what we're going to do is just start flatting these back out, get these ready to be painted and repaired in. To it with a little bit of body work, and the bumper is now looking pretty close. So a couple of little areas that you can see in the grey around the black that just need filling in. So the grey parts around the black section are low section, so just going to have to re-filler or stopper those in, and then another quick sand down, and then most of the rest of it then is pretty good. So you can see an awful lot more once we start to get it into the primer. You can see any little low spots or high spots, and the rest of it then is pretty close. So a couple of things that we wanted to do, we're fairly happy now with the repairs, so everything is all looking good. So we're going to need to use some degreaser on the bodywork, and then we're actually going to flat the original paint down with a bit of an emery cloth, so just a low grade emery cloth, and we're just going to literally go over the paintwork, and then we'll give it another clean off with the degreaser. And this is going to try and just make sure we've got no contaminants on the paintwork of where we're going to be painting. So it's just a good coating up, and this is self-drying, so literally we can be quite liberal with it. Get it nice and wet, don't be afraid to get it nice and wet. Rough up the original paintwork so it's got something to key back into. Bodywork covered, all the repairs covered with the primer, and that we're happy with all the shapes and we've got no sort of issues. We can then start to look at getting our final colour on. So just a bit of a mist coat on there, just literally two things. We're going to find out whether we've got any paint reaction. So sometimes when you put the paint on to other paint, it can pickle, get problems with that sort of, whether it starts going a funny sort of texture on the finish. So just to double check for that. But also with the proper colour coat, we can then see if we've got any little imperfections anywhere that we want to now go back into and actually fill in and re-flat down and re-primer. So far we've got a couple of tiny little bits, but I think we can get away with them, sort of more looking like it's going to be stone chip sort of a thing. So whether we do that again afterwards, but at the minute I just want to get some paint on and see whether the colour's correct. And then some parts, as we build up the colour, we will lose some very, very tiny imperfections, but others it will make them stand out even more. So we can just build up the coats now slowly and see how it looks. Let's see on the camera. It doesn't actually look bad on the camera, but the colour's out. 100% the colour is out. I think maybe getting it into the light might be better. The lighting in this workshop isn't great. You'll start to see just a couple of little imperfections in this area here where we've not quite filled and flatted them out properly. The rest of it doesn't look too bad. I think the rest of it is just shadows that you can see. But yeah, there's a few little bits here that need doing. Again, just filling those in, just making them look a little bit better, which I never really sort of, I've not spent much time up here in all fairness. It's been all down on that bottom corner. Or is it just the shadow? I don't know. It looks to me like the colour's out, but I suppose I'll have to get another couple of coats on. And then, as I say, we've got a couple of little areas just to refinish off. And then once I'm 100% happy, I can get this back section. Again, I don't want to paint the bumper on the car until I'm happy with the colour, but that might actually also just confirm that the colour is out or not. So that might be our next bit that we do. And the BMW M2 is back. It's back together. Not 100% finished in all honesty, but it's sort of there, it's done. Paint, as I'd sort of said, was the wrong colour. Just, it's not so obvious on the video, or it maybe is, but it is the wrong colour. But for the moment, I've literally just had to get it back together. Everything's fitting as it should do, making sure I've got all of the parts, and I've been caught out with the washer jet, so that's wrong. So the bumper's going to need painting. I'd started to repair the back alloy, so that's nearly to a point where that can be painted. I'm not going to do that part of the back bumper until I've got the correct paint, and I've took it for a bit of a test. So I wanted just to find out what it was going to do, if I've got any more issues, and it didn't go well. Now, for some reason, I can't reset the actual brake wear indicator, so I've plugged it in, looked at it, and it's actually reading that the brake sensor is okay, because I presume that there might have been a wire that was actually broken. But going into it, diving into it, there's not. So I've just got to reset the computer on the vehicle. But I think the actual battery might just be throwing a few errors into the system, being a little bit low. So I want to give the battery a good charge, because I know all about BMWs and bad batteries due to this 645 CI behind me. Now this is an absolute nightmare, and it's literally just been shoved in the garage and left to collect as much dust as it can, and that is where I stole the wheel from to actually get the M2 movable in the first place. So a slightly thicker tyre. These tyres are 245 40/19, and these are 245 35. So bit of a sad scene, this one, but this might be a little project that we can have a look at after we've got the M2 up and running correctly. But for now I need to concentrate and get the M2 done, sorted, and all the little issues corrected. Now I also thought I might have got away with the steering rack not being an issue, just fitting the end little tie rod on the end of there and all that being done. That was hopefully going to fix it. Well, actually when I test drove it, I got very loose steering and not fantastic steering. So I need to find out whether that's just down to the tracking, because obviously it's not been tracked up properly, or whether I've got an extra issue within that steering rack and whether that is going to need replacing or not. I then got a whole host of other issues with drivetrain. I've still got a couple of potential issues in the headlight, the adaptive headlights, but there's a little lever within this brake caliper, or at the back of this brake disc, that connects onto the one part of the chassis, so I need to get that fixed before I can identify and definitely know that I've got an issue with the adaptive headlights. And then just a couple of other little bits and bobs. I've also got, it seemed like the brakes were sticking, so the rear handbrake, I think we're going to have a look at the handbrake actual mechanism and free all that back section off, and then that's possible going to take us into another video of now trying to just finish off all the little bits and find out what the issues are. But for now it's back together. It's not running as it should do. It's running and it will drive. It is sort of okay, but it's not what you'd want to actually be driving with all the faults on. So that's potentially our next video, of trying to find out what the issues are. Can we fix them? How do we fix them? And is it going to cost us a fortune? So hopefully you've enjoyed the video. If you have, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you on the next video. They are going to be hopefully a little bit more consistent, but it is just on the side that I'm doing this, so it's just trying to find time to actually get the work done is the problem. So, but hopefully you've enjoyed the video, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.